what is assessment in collaborative learning? I think you are familiar with the term collaborative learning, but the word assessment refers to, in the education field, refers to methods or tools that educators use to evaluate, measure, or document the academic readiness, learning process, skill acquisition, or educational needs of their students. Some learning scientists defined assessment as a process of observing a sample of a student's behavior and drawing inferences about the student's knowledge and abilities, like en route. In simple words, we can define the assessment in collaborative learning as the knowing whether learners are learning or not, what do they learn and how they learn, so the educators understand what needs to be changed or emphasized and what doesn't need to be. Also, assessment is not just giving final grades for students, but it happens during the learning. It's helping guiding the learning process itself and developing it so it matches learners' need. That's it.
Is assessment important in collaborative learning? Let's find the answer. Assessment is widely perceived as one of the essential components in collaborative learning, as Yuang and Ting 2000 stated that successful collaborative discussion in educational context is directly linked to its assessment. Teachers assess what they consider important, and students learn in the way they think something important. So, in practice, someone must grade it in order to enhance collaboration. Is it important? Yes.
In collaborative learning, there are certain types of assessment which are used in collaborative learning. The first one is formative assessment. The formative assessment is the process of assessment in which students' level of understanding is judged during the learning processes. It is kind of diagnostic, which is applied to see what sort of learning has been occurred in a group of students. Whereas summative assessment is quite contrary to it, which is also a process of assessment which is conducted at the end of the academic period. It can be it can be applied in the end of the year, end of the semester, or end of any academic period. There is another type of assessment which is known as peer assessment. In this assessment, students assess each other by giving their feedback or by checking the progress of other students. And peer assessment can be formative and it can be summative. And during informative, peer groups evaluate the work of their peers and give their feedback so that the students during the learning process can improve their learning. There is also another kind of assessment which is self-assessment, in which each learner evaluate himself or herself and accordingly apply the strategies for better learning.
And some of the possible solutions to these challenges could be creating assessment modes that have lots of flexibility. There are also ways you should, in terms of timing, there could be ways you can make the due dates for the assessment more flexible. And furthermore, you could also, in order to create good group compositions, so as a more balanced sort of group for each assessment, you need to learn more about the students on an individual level, so that when you're creating these groups, you can have balance in the skills and the knowledge and the motivations between the students. Furthermore, the other sort of challenge that comes with assessment in collaborative learning is the group composition. With all those factors that go into the individual, once you bring them all into a group setting, each individual will contribute various things, and it's somewhat difficult, if not very difficult, to assess each individual performance within the group setting. There are various challenges that happen when creating assessment in a collaborative setting. For for example, the individual will have various types of knowledge, skills, and motivation going into the collaborative setting. And furthermore, those motivations could be affected by issues with mental health and issues of socioeconomics